All right, everybody, welcome back. You know how we do things around here. We take a topic and we go deep.
Deep.
We get all the information, all the nuances. Today, we're talking about something that I think is super relevant to pretty much everybody listening.
Absolutely.
It's longevity.
Oh, yeah.
And healthy aging.
Huge.
Especially as we get over 45.
Especially.
We are going to be looking at one particular talk by an expert in this field and trying to figure out how do we not just live longer, but live better longer.
Exactly.
So if you're interested in optimizing your health and well-being for the long haul, this is the deep dive for you.
Absolutely.
Now, let me tell you, we are going to be talking about something pretty interesting.
Okay.
Because I think we all have this idea that cholesterol is the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
When it comes to heart health. And maybe that's not the whole story.
Well, so this expert made a really interesting point, and it's actually something that's been gaining traction in the scientific community for a while.
Okay.
They talked about how high insulin levels are actually a stronger predictor of heart health.
Than cholesterol.
Yes.
Really?
Than in cholesterol levels. There's even studies showing that having high insulin levels can increase your risk of a second heart attack.
So, you know, all those years I spent worrying about, like, low fat.
Right.
And, you know, taking my statin.
Exactly.
Like, you know, avoiding eggs.
It might be insulin the whole time.
Insulin is the real problem.
Insulin resistance.
So how does that even work? Can you explain that a little bit? Like, what does that mean to have high insulin?
Sure. So basically every time we eat, our body releases insulin, especially when we eat refined carbohydrates and sugars, things like that.
Okay.
And what insulin does is it helps our body process those sugars. But the problem is that if we're constantly bombarding our system with these foods, our cells can actually start to become resistant to insulin.
So it's like insulin's knocking on the door.
Exactly.
And nobody's answering.
Nobody's answering. And so what?
It's like, hello, I'm here with the sugar.
So then you end up having a lot more insulin.
Exactly. And that's where the real danger is.
That's floating around.
When it's chronically elevated.
Got it. Okay.
That's when we start to see all the problems.
So it's not just about like having a cookie every once in a while.
Right, exactly.
It's about the cumulative effect.
The cumulative effect of all the food choices.
And your diet over time.
Over time, absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
And this expert actually used a really fascinating example.
Okay.
They talked about the cement men.
Okay.
And
I've heard of them.
Yeah. They're known for their longevity.
Oh.
And they have very, very low rates of chronic disease.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about them is their traditional diet is naturally low in sugar and processed foods.
Interesting.
So they're just not getting these consistent insulin spikes.
I see.
And that's protecting them.
That makes sense.
From developing insulin resistance in the first place.
Yeah. This makes me think about my snacking habits. But honestly, I'm thinking about all the processed food we have.
Yeah.
Like, is it even possible to avoid it?
Right.
Completely.
Well, and that's a good point. And this expert actually said, you know, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Okay.
Right? Like, we can all make small changes.
Yeah.
And over time, those add up.
Absolutely.
But they did point out what they call the devil's triad. The three main culprits that are in pretty much everything these days.
Okay. I'm ready.
And that's sugar, refined grains, and then industrial seed oils.
Industrial seed oils.
That's a big one.
What even are those?
Right. So they're basically these highly processed oils extracted from things like soybeans, corn, things like that.
Got it.
And the problem is that they're chemically altered.
I see.
And they're often damaged during the processing. And that makes them highly inflammatory in the body.
I see.
And that inflammation further contributes to
the problem.
To insulin resistance and all of the health problems that follow.
So it's sort of like a double whammy.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is making a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see the connections here. So cutting back on processed foods, and especially those devil's triad ingredients.
Absolutely.
That seems like a big one for managing those insulin levels.
Exactly.
Anything else we can do?
Well, this expert was a big proponent of resistance training.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even short bursts, right. It's not just about building muscle.
Right.
It's about improving your body's ability to use insulin effectively.
So it's kind of like a...
Because muscle tissue is very metabolically active, meaning it helps your body process glucose better.
So you're sort of like training your body
to
be better at using insulin.
Exactly.
So even a few minutes, like a couple times a week?
A couple times a week.
Could make a difference.
Could make a huge difference.
I can commit to that.
Absolutely.
I like that.
And remember, it's about what works for you.
Right.
You don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours every day.
Sure.
It's about finding something that's sustainable.
Right.
That you can fit into your lifestyle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Small changes make a big difference.
Well, and speaking of things that we can do, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
This expert actually was a big proponent
of
some foods that a lot of people are afraid of.
They were talking about eggs.
Eggs.
Cheese.
And cheese, which we're always told are bad for cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
But they were saying, no, these are
nutrient dense.
Nutrient dense.
They're powerhouse foods.
Yeah, so it's like
they shouldn't be feared.
We're getting all these mixed messages.
We are, absolutely.
It's hard to know what to believe.
It is. It's really important to be discerning about the nutrition advice that we follow.
Right.
Right. Not everything we hear is accurate.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think about supplements too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, those are another area where there's a lot of hype.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to know what's actually effective.
It is.
And what's just marketing.
Right.
So this expert actually said, be wary.
Do your research.
Yeah, do your research before you just jump on that supplement bandwagon.
Especially with Black Friday coming up.
Oh, that's true.
Right. There's going to be so many sales.
Yeah, so many.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype.
Yeah, and waste a lot of money on stuff.
Yeah.
That might not even work.
That might not even be good for you.
So I think that's a really important thing to remember.
Absolutely.
So it seems like the big takeaway here is that this whole insulin thing is way more important.
It's crucial.
Than we realize.
Yeah.
And it's something that we really need to be paying attention to.
Absolutely.
Especially as we get older.
Especially as we age.
And we want
to feel good.
Age gracefully and healthily.
Yeah.
So ditching the devil's triad.
Right.
That's a big one.
Big one.
Embracing nutrient-dense whole foods.
Yes.
And adding in some strength training.
Even a little bit.
Yeah, even a little bit.
Goes a long way.
It seems like those are the keys.
It really does.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave everybody with a question to think about.
Mm-hmm.
What is one tiny change that you can make today based on what we've talked about?
Love that.
Maybe it's swapping out that soda for some sparkling water.
Great idea.
Maybe it's adding in a few squats.
Couple squats.
A day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's skipping dessert tonight.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a huge thing.
Small changes add up.
But if you can make one little change every single day,
it
can add up to some big results over time.
Absolutely.
And it could mean the difference between just living a long time and living a long and
thriving
and a healthy and happy life.
Exactly.
So keep exploring. Stay curious.
Absolutely.
And thank you as always for taking this deep dive with us.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.